Peace. It's your intergalactic president, Nazir, intergalactic Nazir, and today I'm going to be talking about some topics which will go into, I guess, the two states of consciousness. So, you have the first, I guess the first state of consciousness, which is mostly inhabited because of our environment and habitat and what we've been exposed to and taught. But this is not our first consciousness or state of consciousness. Our original state of consciousness is actually one that is, love, peace, joy, the ones that everyone talks about associated with like spiritual enlightenment and, reaching that other state of consciousness. But, so the first consciousness would say, let's just say like earthly. So earthly, state of consciousness. An earthly state of consciousness contains, like lack, like guilt, shame, lust, discontent, hate, like, kind of, if you want to use the word, you say like negative, a negative state of consciousness. And what fuels this is, so we have, the media, music, everything. And a lot of people have actually named the earthly consciousness. And earthly consciousness could be associated with ego. So a lot of people have named this through spirituality under the umbrella of ego. So, okay. And then, this is linked in with, let's say, what fuels it. So, the fire. What's fueling it? So let's say music, media, society's construct, I hope you guys can read this. It's a bit funky the way I'm doing it, but yeah, it's basically, so you see, like, this world consists of that state of consciousness, the earthly consciousness, has, the way that society has been constructed is built around this consciousness. So, you walk the street, you see even the way people are dressed, the way they are acting, nobody says hello to each other, nobody like really smiles at each other, everybody's kind of just doing their own thing. This is associated because, first of all, the media, music and everything is associated with thinking that it is a separate entity, or it does not share some type of reason to be nice, because it's not giving you anything. Because really, most of this consciousness, earthly consciousness, is seeking. It's seeking something. Because why are all these emotions there? These emotions are there because it's in a state of lack. So it does things like shame stems from like pornography, lust, doing the wrong things, making bad decisions. But when you actually step away from all this stuff, it takes you to the second consciousness, which is the first consciousness, the original consciousness, what you know actually are and what is really there. So got earthly consciousness, and now let's say just because I'm studying intergalactic movement, let's just say the intergalactic consciousness, or in other words, awakened, or own nature revealed. So let's say no ego. Okay, so what does this consist of? This consists of contentment, love, peace, joy, bliss, all things of positive nature. Yeah, like it's but these things, they all reveal itself when you stop really behaving like the world, like behaving how you were taught, how you grew up. That consciousness, because that consciousness has been fed to us since birth. Schools, everything. The whole of like the whole, I guess, westernized, education system, and also say like the work slash study, the whole frame of mind, it's been around just, always wanting to be, I guess, just teaching us not to listen to ourselves. Like, for example, when we're kids, we're taught, oh, be quiet. Why are you acting that way? Oh, he's hyperactive. He has ADHD. They're always like trying to label us. So that comes a lot into it, the earthly consciousness. It exists around words, and words, words connected to mind. When you're only operating in the state of mind, then you're actually entrapped in that dimension of existence. But when you operate from a place of observation, and really paying attention and seeing what's going on, then this state, to enter this state, first of all, it takes disconnecting and not continuing to do what you used to do. So all of us, I'd say 99.9% of the world, of existence, is operating in the earthly consciousness. But to get to the intergalactic consciousness, you have to just let go. And it's not a easy journey. As many people say, like Osho, Sadhguru, and many people, they say that really this journey is about you losing. You're not gaining anything. But the thing that you do gain is you gain yourself. You gain something. You don't care what people think. You don't care how you live. It's just you take action for your life, and you do things in a nature that's not affecting yourself and affecting others. You're able to see the light in the world. You're able to, or darkness, whatever word you want to use, both of the same nature. It's all the same. So it's just about, really, the main point of this is showing you that to reach the intergalactic consciousness, or a spiritual enlightenment, or to be free from the worries of the mind, You know, because a lot of people are really seeking you know, when people work, you see most people who are working are smoking cigarettes, or you know, some are doing drugs or going out drinking or doing many things because they want to. It's a type of satisfaction, and it's also a type of numbing. It's a pleasure. You know, I've noticed in my life, for example, that when you do something, even like do a like meditation or something, then your mind goes to wanting to seek a pleasure, like a massage, or you know, there's nothing wrong with massages. Massages are quite good for the body, but you know, you don't want to do something that's entangling you. So you know, really, people operating in the earthly consciousness when they're doing like, you know, substances of any kind, any addiction, whether that be, you know, social media, you know, music, um, you know, even like what is it? Like status, like wanting to be something. All of these things, they go under the branch of not being content and seeking some type of experience outside of yourself, to bring some type of experience in yourself that will make you feel pleased or make you feel satisfied and make you feel like you're doing something correct. But really, when you step away from all this stuff, you have some time to look. You know, I've had a lot of time to look and start to see how things are working. And you know, to the average, I guess, person, what I'm talking about might not make sense to be like, because this is what you know, it's what everybody knows, and you have to step away from it to truly see it. You can't see anything, you can't see a fault of anything if you're living inside of a fault. So, yeah, like, you know, this is associated with, you know, it takes a lot of silence, takes, you know, patience, and understanding that your mind is not used to that, and it's going to take some time for it to recalibrate. So you know, just you have to be, yeah, I guess it's a whatever, when you're willing to do it, it will happen. No matter, you know, you fall down, everything happens. You know, my journey's been very up and down, but ultimately I'm at the point now where I understand, because I see these things, you know. So um, for myself, I feel as if it's not correct to just sit by and watch this, and be selfish and self-indulge. So I have to actually talk about this stuff and get it out there and spread this, you know, intergalactic consciousness. Um, so yeah, all this stuff here. Um, you know, you want to step away from the ways of this world, you know, and you want to step, I guess, you know, you want to step into who you really are. Um, yeah. And to do this, you know, is disconnecting from everything, um, meditation, you know, like mantras, breathing meditations, you know, all these things here,